Dear Akoti, my sister, welcome to another video in the Great Deception series. This is one I've been looking forward to for a long time, and we're really going to be talking about how Christianity was created, because that's a question that I don't think enough of us who were Christian or who currently are Christian actually know the answer to. And I know personally for me, I was a Christian pretty much my entire life up until about 7 months ago, and I had looked into how all of these other different religions were formed and how they were demonic and satanic and how they stemmed from Babylon and things like that. But I had never actually looked into Christianity because I thought it was infallible. I thought it couldn't be tainted. And learning the actual foundation of it and how it was created, and that it wasn't something that the early church followed in the Bible, really kind of put me into shock. And so anyways, that's what we're going to be talking about today. But of course, before we do, just for anybody who is new, welcome. If you are, please do hit that red subscribe button, because there's tons of videos coming your way, exposing the false and then diving into the truth at the same time, talking about being a woman and being a feminine woman at that, and a spiritual woman at that, who's prepared for things to come. So definitely hit that subscribe button. But for those of you who are new, like I said, just so you always know who I'm referring to, I do call our God and our Father, our Creator, I call him by his name of Yahuwah, Yah for short. So I tend to switch between those two very often, 95% of the time. And for the Messiah, our elder brother, our high priest, like I said, our elder brother, high priest, and king, I call him by his Hebrew name, Yahusha, which I recognize there are slight variations in pronunciation depending on who you talk to, but that's how I pronounce it. So moving forward, the last thing I want to mention is context. So whenever you see scripture within any of these presentations, you'll notice that there may be pink wording that is within parentheses and italics in the scripture. And I want to let you know that this is just me explaining the scripture as we read through it. So giving historical context or an understanding of what the verse is saying as we read through. That's why it's separate from the verse. It is in no way, shape, or form adding to. We're told in both the Old and New Testament not to add to the word of Yah. So I take that very seriously. So moving into today's actual content, let's talk about how Christianity was created. So 2,000 years ago, around the time that Yahushua the Messiah lived and died, the early Jewish believers were converted. Jerusalem was under the control of the pagan Roman Empire, and the Roman emperor around that time was Caesar Nero, and you see him to the right. Nero believed himself, like many ancient rulers, to be divine, which is just another one of the many incarnate God-men in history, and was threatened by the growing allegiance in his empire to another king, the coming Messiah. At this time, there was no such person as Jesus, as that name did not even exist until literally centuries later, in the 4th century AD to be exact. Jewish converts were now coming to Yahuwah in covenant with the Messiah and keeping the feasts and Sabbaths in light of and in the name of Yahusha. So Nero attempted to stop this growing rebellion against him by gathering up all of the Sabbath-keeping believers in Yahusha who would not bow to him and having them murdered in massive colosseums by feeding them to hungry lions as a spectator sport. Many of the pagan onlookers were moved by the bravery and the faith of these believers in Yah and actually converted to being followers of Yahusha. This plan of Satan to put a stop to the spreading faith in Yahusha completely failed, and so he had to devise a new plan. And just a side note, it's very interesting that we still have these colosseums today, and I don't mean these ancient ones. I mean, if you ever look at a football stadium or any kind of sports stadium or sports arena, you'll notice that it literally looks like the inside of a coliseum. And I just want to make a side note there. That's something you can look into yourself, but a lot of these things were created to kind of distract the masses. That's a side note. But anyways, moving on. So this new plan was to create a counterfeit religion that he would craft slowly over time into a false religion that would seem to be based on the true Messiah in the Bible. It would, however, actually be based on Tammuz of Babylon. This is where the Roman Emperor Constantine comes in. So while we're told that the first pope was the disciple Peter, who actually never kept Sunday or Easter or Christmas, nor did he believe in a Trinity Godhead, it was actually Emperor Constantine. Constantine held the title Pontifex Maximus, which literally means high priest of the sun god Zeus or Apollo, which are the Greek incarnations of Nimrod and Tammuz. So he was the high priest of his god Apollo, also known as Mithra, the sun god, which is what you see to the right. So Apollo and Mithra are literally, again, just names for Nimrod and Tammuz that evolved out of ancient Babylon as the languages were confused at the Tower of Babel. Constantine's religion was called the Cult of Sol Invictus, which means the cult of the invisible sun. Constantine was a sun worshiper, as the religion of Babylon was literally transplanted to Rome. So the Pope of Rome to this day holds the same title, Pontiff, and to this day worships the same sun god. This Roman religion is known as the Cult of Sol Invictus, or the Cult of the Invincible Sun. The Cult of Sol Invictus again dates back to the Babylonian religion created by Semiramis, which we defined in the second series we did for Mystery Babylon. So I will definitely try to remember to link that down below. But if I do forget, because I am human, either just remind me, or you can go ahead and find it just by clicking the channel name, going to the playlist section, and clicking the Mystery Babylon series. So history records that Constantine became the first Christian emperor of Rome and played a major role in converting the pagan Roman Empire to Christianity. The religion of Christianity was actually created by the Roman emperor and high priest of Apollo. This religion created by Constantine was nothing new. It was the same exact religious system dating back to Babylon, and the same religion Constantine worshipped before and until his death: sun worship. So Constantine was a follower of Christos Mithras. Again, we're showing him in this image, which even says Sol Invicto. Christos Mithras is the man that is, I don't even know if that's like a beast. It looks like some sort of beast that he's killing. And then you have a sun god up in the right, and then you have a woman up in the left, showing the Trinity. So anyways, moving on. So, it was identical in every way to the worship of the stars, the sun, moon, and planets that originated in Babylon. So Christians today claim that God came to Constantine in a vision of a cross, and Constantine converted to a servant of Jesus Christ. This is true, sort of. Actually, Constantine just renamed Tammuz, Apollo, and Mithra to Jesus and converted the whole world to this existing religion, as history proves. As the legend goes, Constantine was on his knees worshiping the sun facing east, which is what sun worshippers do, and saw a vision of the cross of Tammuz and was told, in this sign, conquer. So conquering humanity through force and converting by threat of death is the total opposite of the Messiah's message of evangelism through love and regeneration through faith. Constantine then went on to conquer the world of his god Tammuz, which he created at the Council of Nicaea and called Jesus H. Christ. He did so through very much bloodshed and converted through the threat of death, or the Inquisition. There is zero chance that Constantine was an actual true believer, and we know this because of his fruit. We also know this because his coins remained inscribed, dedicated to the invincible sun until his death. After the death of Constantine's father, his brother Maxentius was in line for the throne and stood in the way of Constantine. On 312 AD, on October 27th or 28th, at Stone Milvian Bridge at the Tiber River, Constantine's army was greatly outnumbered, as it was arrayed in battle against the army of Maxentius, his brother. It was then, while Constantine bowed before the sun and worshipped to Baal or Baal, he saw a cross and heard a voice in this sign, conquer. As we saw before in the Mystery Babylon series, the cross was the universal sign of Tammuz, a cutout of the center of the zodiac. So it is no surprise that Constantine, while bowing to the sun, saw the cross of Tammuz, because that was his religion. This command that he heard to go forth and conquer was the same expression used in Revelation 6:2 of the rider on the white horse that goes out to conquer and to conquer, an image of the false Messiah. So Constantine went forth from that point and conquered the pagan world through his religion and much bloodshed, which we talked a little bit about in the last video in this series about how the Inquisition murdered many people, more than what we're actually told. So Revelation 6:2 says, "And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer." So we see in Revelation that this writer went forth with a crown, or an emperor, and a bow, or the symbol of Nimrod and Tammuz, the great hunter, to conquer. The exact historical image of Constantine, the founder of Christianity. This same bow is carried to this day by the subsequent Pontifex Maximus of the Pope of Rome. It is a bowed cross and the staff of the Pope. And the Pope literally wears a two-horned mitre, or the two horns like a goat, the hat that kind of looks like it's got two horns, or it looks like the fish hat, a lot of different things going on his head, carrying about a cross in the shape of a bow. On the top of his staff is the cross of Tammuz, with the image of the false Messiah renamed Jesus Horus Krishna, or Jesus H. Christ, or in Latin IHS. This false Messiah is none other than Tammuz, the pig of Ishtar, in name and sacrifice. So Revelation 13:11 says, "Then I saw another beast coming out of the earth. He had two horns like a lamb," mitre hat, "but he spoke like a dragon," because he's a puppet for Dagon the dragon, i.e. Satan, and we talked about this in another video in this series as well, which I definitely suggest you check out. So back to our story. Once Constantine defeated Maxentius and became emperor and high priest of sun worship, the main problem Constantine faced in his empire was strife between the various religions. There were many different gods among the pagan people, and this caused a lot of conflict. This religious conflict led to what we know today as the foundation of Christianity, or the Council of Nicaea. The resulting creed, or the Nicene Creed, is professed by every Christian on earth, a total blasphemous creed, as we will now discover. The true beginning of religion known today as Christianity is shrouded in secular and pagan thought and tradition. The historical beginnings of this religion is all but hidden and kept silent in today's churches. When we do a little digging, it is understandably so. The slightest research into the origins of Christianity will literally destroy your faith in it. So I guess ignorance is bliss. However, in this case, it is eternal destruction. We see this in Hosea 4:6, where we're told that we're destroyed by the lack of knowledge and rejected by Yahuwah for abolishing his law. So reading that, it says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I also reject you as my priests. Because you have ignored the law of your Elohim, I also will ignore your children." Everything we need to know concerning this new religion that evolved at the hands of the Roman Emperor Constantine and was formalized at the Council of Nicaea, we can learn from the early scholars of the day and the Catholic Church documents that live on historically. These all openly admit that the religion was neither new nor strange to the pagans of their day, and that the only thing new about it was the name of the new god they created. This new God's name was Jesus H. Christ, or IHS in Latin, so we're going to take a long, hard look at his name. The Council of Nicaea was held around 325 AD, at least the first one was. There were others that came after, and the writers of that era admit what should now be obvious to the reader of this book or the viewer of this series, and if not, it will be soon enough. So Eusebius of Caesarea, around 283 to 371 CE, I guess is when he lived. So quoting that, it says, "The religion of Jesus Christ is neither new nor strange." And St. Augustine of Hippo wrote, "This in our day is the Christian religion, not as having been unknown in former times, but as having recently received that name." Christianity was not new to the pagans, and as St. Augustine had just pointed out, it has been known all the way back to Babylon and only recently was called Christianity. So every Christian church today, from the Roman Catholic Church to every last Protestant denomination, expresses its faith in what is called the Nicene Creed. This is the resulting creed that came out of the First Council of Nicaea, where Christianity and its fundamental doctrines of sun worship were formulated by Constantine to unite his kingdom through syncretism, which we learned in another video. Syncretism is literally just the mixing of pagan beliefs and the truth from the Bible, mixing it together to kind of create a new religion. So Constantine openly worshipped a pagan sun deity named Mithra or Apollo, who was simply another name for Tammuz or Baal, the sun god. Constantine believed the Hebrew Messiah Yahushua was yet another incarnation of the second member of the Babylonian Trinity, who is Tammuz. At the council in Nicaea, Constantine set out to formulate a religion that all pagans and all those who had newly found faith in Yahushua could accept if he could twist the scriptures to conform to his sun worship. Since Constantine believed Yahusha to be an incarnation of Tammuz, he had no problem replacing the holy days, the Sabbaths, and the feasts of Yahuwah with those of his god, Tammuz, Apollo, or Mithra, and etc., because there's many names. After all, to Constantine, Yahusha was the latest incarnation of them all, and therefore he kept the Babylonian pagan days of worship. And of course, the reincarnated Tammuz would have abolished the Sabbath and holy days and established those of Easter, Sunday, and Christmas in his image. This is what Constantine believed, and he was emperor, and so what he believed defined his empire. So let's take a close look at what Flavius Constantinus, who ruled Rome and was literally the author of what we call Christianity today. Make no mistake, this religion of Christianity was not authored by the Jewish, which means from the tribe of Judah, Messiah, Yahusha. Christianity has no relationship to the Hebrew faith held by Adam, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Joshua, David, Solomon, Yahusha, and even the Apostle Paul or any of the disciples or the apostles of the early church in Jerusalem. Christianity is literally a carbon copy of this mystery Babylon religion, which is sun worship. So Constantine was the high priest of the sun god Sol Invictus, or the invincible sun, and his coins remained inscribed Sol Invicto Committee, or committed to the unconquered invincible sun to the day he died. Constantine decided to call an official Roman, because Rome was a pagan empire, council at Nicaea, which is now considered the first Christian council, in an attempt to standardize all religions in his empire. There were initially hundreds of gods worshipped throughout the empire, and it was a cause of constant division and conflict, so a council of pagan priests was convened. Who participated and what exactly was discussed in this council is somewhat unclear because Constantine burned all the evidence. We do, however, know exactly what resulted from this council, as we will see. It's hard to know what took place behind closed doors because, again, all documentation of this blasphemous council was literally destroyed by Constantine, as he had all the documents burned to hide the abomination that transpired. A far cry from how Yahuwah documented every step of the truth found in the Torah for all to know and read throughout history. So this lie that Christianity is based on was carefully and totally destroyed to hide its origin. What we do know, though, is openly found in the Catholic Encyclopedia, which reads, it was British-born Flavius Constantinus, or Constantine, who authorized the compilation of the writings now called the New Testament. After the death of his father in 306, Constantine became king of Britain, Gaul, and Spain, and then after a series of victorious battles, emperor of the Roman Empire. Christian historians give little or no hint of the turmoil of the times and suspend Constantine in the air, free of all human events happening around him. Continuing on, it reads, in truth, one of Constantine's main problems was the uncontrollable disorder among presbyters and their belief in numerous gods. The majority of modern-day Christian writers suppress the truth about the development of their religion and conceal Constantine's efforts to curb the disreputable character of the presbyters, who are now called church fathers. So there it is, plain as day, an admission from the source of Christianity, the Catholic Church, that the very church fathers invited to the Council of Nicaea were not men of Yahuwah, but disreputable pagan priests or presbyters who worship many different gods. So who were these preachers running around the Roman Empire dreaming up all kinds of various gods to worship? These same men that Christian churches today consider to be the fathers of their faith. Let's see how they were described. So reading from Contra Celsum, The Origin of Alexandria, it says, the most rustic fellows teaching strange paradoxes. They openly declared that none but the ignorant was fit to hear their discourses. They never appeared in the circles of the wiser and better sort, but always took care to intrude themselves among the ignorant and uncultured, rambling around to play tricks at fairs and markets. They lard their lean books with the fat of old fables, and still the less do they understand. And they write nonsense on vellum, and still be doing never done. So these pagan preachers, invited to formulate the new religion at the Council of Nicaea, were rustic fellows teaching strange paradoxes to the ignorant, uncultured fools of the day at pagan fairs and markets in Rome. These men were not the mighty men of God and descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. No, these men literally created Christianity from fat old fables. This is certainly something that I was never taught growing up in the Christian church. I was taught to believe the doctrines that were taught to me, to believe this Nicene Creed, which I will be honest, I had never even heard of until I actually started researching Christianity. And I was never taught what it was. I was taught the creed, and I was taught those doctrines and the feel-good messages that come along with it, but I didn't know that it was a Nicene Creed. I didn't know where it came from. I didn't know any of that stuff. So this was a huge shock to me to learn. So this creed that is an abomination to Yah, this creed that was a complete denial of Yahuwah and his truth, this creed that was literally created by pagans. So let's look at exactly what was going on in the Roman Empire under Constantine. We find it openly admitted that the conversion and baptism of Constantine was nothing more than simply a legend. In reality, he was a sun-worshipping emperor and high priest with a very real political problem that had to be dealt with. So, quoting from Opotus of Milevis from the early 4th century, it says, "Clusters of presbyters had developed many gods and lords, and numerous religious sects existed, each with differing doctrines. Presbyterial or pagan groups clashed over attributes of their various gods, and altar was set against altar and competing for an audience." Then reading from the Catholic Encyclopedia, it says, from Constantine's point of view, there were several factions that needed satisfying, and he set out to develop an all-embracing religion, which is what you see to the right. Not that he created this symbol, but this is a symbol that is used for universal religions that encompass all of them. So he set out to develop an all-embracing religion during a period of irreverent confusion, in an age of crass ignorance, with 9/10 of the peoples of Europe completely illiterate. Stabilizing religion splinter groups was only one of Constantine's problems. The smooth generalization, which so many historians are content to repeat, that Constantine embraced the Christian religion and subsequently granted official toleration, is contrary to true historical fact and should be erased from our literature forever. So our idea that Constantine embraced this Jewish Messiah of ours is not true and should be totally erased from our minds. Simply put, there was no Christian religion at Constantine's time, and the church acknowledges that the tale of his conversion and baptism are entirely legendary and never happened at all. Constantine never acquired a solid theological knowledge and depended heavily on his advisors in religious questions, also found in the Catholic Encyclopedia. According to Eusebius, Constantine noted that among the Presbyterian or pagan factions, strife had grown so serious and vigorous, action was necessary to establish a more religious state. But he could not bring about a settlement between rival god factions, and that's quoted from the life of Constantine. His advisors warned him that the presbyters' pagan religions were destitute of foundation and needed official stabilization. Constantine saw in this confused system of fragmented dogmas the opportunity to create a new and combined state religion, neutral in concept and to protect it by law, then to ensure it through forced conversion and death for disobedience. So when he conquered the East in 324, he sent his Spanish religious advisor, Osius, or Hosius as some pronounce it, of Cordoba to Alexandria with letters to several pagan bishops, exhorting them to make peace among themselves. The mission failed, and Constantine, probably at the suggestion of Osius, then issued a decree commanding all these pagan presbyters or pagan priests and their subordinates be mounted on asses and mules and horses belonging to the public and forced to travel to the city of Nicaea in the Roman province of Bithynia in Asia Minor. So after these pagan priests were commanded to mount asses and come to Nicaea, they were instructed to bring with them the testimonies they orated to the table or uneducated masses. They had to bind them in leather for protection during this long journey and surrender them to Constantine upon arrival in Nicaea. And this is from the Catholic Dictionary. Quoting from, again, the life of Constantine, it says their writings totaled in all 2,231 scrolls and legendary tales of gods and saviors, together with a record of the doctrines orated by them. So, of course, we don't have these 2,000 scrolls now to compare to Yahuwah's truth. These pagan writings, which were the foundation of Christianity, were carefully and totally destroyed after the Council of Nicaea for obvious reasons. So now this foundation of Christianity and how this massive lie started really kind of comes into focus. It was created at the Council of Nicaea, founded not on the Torah and the Messiah, but rather on 2,231 scrolls and legendary tales of literally hundreds of gods and saviors and pagan doctrines. This is what Constantine set out to standardize into one generic neutral religion that they all could agree upon, and a syncretic, or a mixed religion, really, or universal religion, was born. That resulting religion was named Christianity, and the god of this new religion was named Jesus Horus Krishna, later to be known in English as Jesus H. Christ. This is a historical fact. We'll go into detail concerning this name of the false Messiah in the next video coming, so don't worry about that. But in truth, history has proven that the 4 years prior to the Council of Nicaea, Constantine was initiated into the cult of Sol Invictus, the sun-worshipping religion that evolved out of Babylon. So that was the conversion that truly happened to Constantine. He was never actually converted as a follower of Yahusha ever. That is why he was bowing down, facing east, worshiping the sun in the first place, and seeing the cross of Tammuz, if that whole situation even ever happened. The Catholic Church admits his conversion was never documented, but a legend to placate these ignorant masses, and that Constantine remained a sun worshipper until his death. What we do know is the religion that came out of the Council of Nicaea was a carbon copy of what Constantine already believed, and anyone that did not bow down to the new god he created was executed in the Inquisition. All the pagans surrendered to this new religion, while all the true sons of Yahuwah were executed or went into hiding, leaving only Christianity and the Roman Empire by law. This is exactly what the prophets of Yahuwah said would happen. So with that, Akoti, my sister, I tell you, keep seeking the truth. Actually look into these things yourself and research them yourself. The information is out there. You can do a quick Google search and everything will literally come up right in front of your eyes. So definitely encourage you to keep seeking the truth, keep seeking Yah, and letting his spirit guide you in everything that you do. And I'm really excited for the next video. We're going to be going really deep, well, pretty deep into how this whole God, Jesus Christ, was created, what his name means, etc., etc. So I'm excited for that next video. I'm excited for everything that we're going to be really kind of going over in this series, and even in the next coming series as well. So with that, Akoti, my sister, I love you, and Yah bless. I will see you in the next video.